Hey guys, we haven't talked Fuji gear in a while, and today was their big X Summit for 2021. So let's talk about it. For one, for me, being an APS-C shooter, quite honestly, it was a bit of a letdown. Now, if you're a medium format, a GFX guy, you probably got excited for a couple reasons. One is if you're getting into it, they announced the GFX 50S2, which is supposed to be a decently affordable medium format camera, so you can get into that medium format line. Also, they talked a lot about lenses, the GF 35 to 70, 4.5 to 5.6, but also some lenses that are coming out, wide angle as well as a portrait lens, what is it, a 40 millimeter equivalent 1.7. I don't know, I think it's like a 40 millimeter equivalent 1.2, but also a tilt shift. I know everybody's been talking and wanting a tilt shift. Medium format just isn't for me. Maybe one day I'll give it a shot, but I'm looking to go smaller, not larger. And high dynamic range and everything about the medium format I think is really cool. Just not for me, at least right now. I may change my mind. I'm not closing the door on that. But being an APS-C shooter, I wasn't really excited. And I'm not going to go through the GFX stuff. I'm just going to talk about the APS-C items. Now, the only body that they released, oddly, they didn't even talk about it at the summit, and I think I know why, because there's not much of a refresh on it. The XT32. From what I can tell, and this wasn't even talked about at all during the summit, and I think the only changes to this camera, I could be wrong, are a better screen and some settings on the video recording. Pretty much that's it. It reminds me of what is it, the Canon M51 and M52. Very, very similar. Not much to get excited about. If you have an XT30, you're not going to sell it to buy this camera. At least I wouldn't think you would. So as far as bodies go on the APS-C format, there's not really anything there. The only thing they hint it towards is a new stack sensor coming up. I don't know if it's going to be the XH2. They hinted around flagship. They use this flagship interchangeably, whatever the best-selling, most modern camera of that year is. It could be the XT3, it could be the XT4, it could be the XH1. So whatever they decide to make and be popular, that they want to put the latest and greatest tech in, becomes their flagship. That's another knock, I think, at least for me, on Fuji, is when you have a flagship, you stick to it. If it's the XT3, 4, that's your flagship, you stick to it. If it's the XH series, you dedicate yourself and you stick to it. You don't just come up with an XH1, get people excited, and then drop it. And I wasn't a huge fan of the XH1, to be honest with you. I think the camera is just too large for what it offers as far as performance and sensor size. I know I'm going to get blasted. I kind of like the form factor, but for me, for a camera that size, I might as well shoot full frame. But again, I'm very size sensitive. I don't like huge cameras, but I really like the theory behind it. If they just shrunk that down a bit, I'd be really considering it. We'll see what the XH2 has to offer, because everything that I hear is they're still going to come out with it. And I didn't think. I thought the XT4 was going to basically make that obsolete, but there's still talk around it. I think that's cool. So let's talk about the lenses. There's two lenses for the APS-C. They're refreshing the 23 and oddly not the 35. Well, it is the 35, but it's not the 35. As you guys know, there's a 23 millimeter f1.4 and a 35 millimeter f1.4. Now the 23, I have the 23. It's a great lens, phenomenal lens. They're actually refreshing and replacing, based on their roadmap, the 23 millimeter. The 33 is what they're calling this lens, or the 50 millimeter full frame equivalent. They're standing it on its own, meaning they're keeping, at least for now, the 33 millimeter f1.4 as well as the 35 f1.4. I think because there's such a following around the 35 f1.4, it just has some kind of I don't know, something special about the image quality. So much that I've heard, I keep on thinking about picking one up. And if the price drops, I had an opportunity to buy the 35 years ago on a really good holiday sale when Fuji was really promoting the holiday sales, you know, $200-300 off. I passed and I got the 35, what is it, 35 millimeter f2, which is a phenomenal lens. I love that lens. And at the time, I was like, yeah, I don't want to buy two of the same focal length. So I just bought the f2. Now I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt. I should have picked them both up. But anyways, um, here's the thing about these lenses, guys. Now, they don't really talk about the video performance. One of the things that Fuji is falling short on is the video photography hybrid world. And they have the bodies, you know, the X-T4 is a phenomenal video camera, but the lenses don't match. They don't have good autofocusing, and it's horrible in some regards. I tried picking up what was the X8 XS1, great camera, in-body stabilization and all that, but the autofocus was just wonky and it really wasn't usable for me. I know the X-T4 is a little bit better on even some of the lenses that I tried, but they really need to step up the game. One or two lenses just to get their foot in the game. A wide angle like a 16 millimeter or a 14 millimeter redesigned, and something that people can use for video and photography. And you don't have to have a video lens. I mean, Sony does it, Canon does it. It's not like this crazy thing that everybody's asking to actually have good video autofocusing. The other companies are doing it. Fuji needs to step up. Now, I don't know, these lenses might be that answer, but there was just no reference at all in the summit or even spoken of by any of the Fuji photographers that they covered. Now, I still have to watch some videos, so, you know, maybe that's not the case, but from what I can see, they usually, if it has video capabilities, good video capabilities, they will brag upon it. Now, the design looks like it's very similar to the 18 millimeter f1.4, which doesn't have a greatest track record on video autofocus. Now, they're weather sealed, and everybody boasts how fast the autofocus is in photography, but we'll have to see how they pan out in video. Now, the other thing that I don't like, I know this is going to sound odd to people. Let's take a look at the 23, if it'll load. This is the B&H site for pre-ordering. Look at the shape and the size. To me, it resembles a large kit lens. It just doesn't have that cool look to me. I know it's all aluminum, it's built great and all that stuff, but I have the 23 millimeter f1.4, and I like that shorter, fatter body style. Let me see if I can pull up. So here's what I'm talking about. Look at the look. Now, to me, the 23 millimeter f1.4 with the clutch design just looks so classic, and then so, like, I don't know, it just looks cool. And for me, part of the fun to use it is the experience and the interaction with the camera and how it looks. I know that sounds kind of corny, but the other one, the new one, it just looks so, like, I don't know, nothing special. So that's one of my big knocks, and I know it probably optically is beautiful and better in every way, but look at the difference, guys. I mean, that is just night and day. Night and day. Which one would you guys rather have? The old one on the right, or well, actually I pulled up the 33, but let's go back, guys. Oh, it wasn't my fault. Okay. I don't know why. I don't know if it's got a bad picture. But this is the 23 millimeter new one, and on the right is the old one. I just like the looks of the old one better. 1.4. So I think that short, stocky look, much classier. Now, don't get me wrong. I have never used the 35 f1.4, but everybody says it's slow and, crazy autofocus slow. But that's okay for my style. I don't need anything crazy fast. So that was basically the summit, guys. So, guys, I'd love to hear your opinion on this. So please leave your comments below. Thanks again and have a good night. Take care. Bye.